Welcome back to Hometown TCG, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh.
And I'm John.
And we are here with a very special episode of our Deck Tech series for you today. We're going to be going over Bravo, our Guardian Blitz deck. However, this one comes with a catch.
Yeah, so it seems like Dorinthia's really been running amok in these skirmishes, and I mean, probably in a lot of people's local armories and stuff. So we are doing a special deck tech specifically to beat Dorinthia. This is the Bravo defensive. Yeah,
Defend tall.
That's all it does.
Beat down a warrior. This deck does one thing, and it does it well, and it beats down everyone's favorite warrior. It's got to be, once or twice a week we get a comment, whether it's in the YouTube comments or in person at our events, that we're getting told, Dorinthia's just running crazy.
It happens, and I've gone around to some different armories at different stores, and people are like, yeah, Dorinthia's just nasty.
It's just tough to beat. Well, if you're having trouble beating Dorinthia, we got you right here. Let's talk about Bravo, and let's start the same place we always start. What Bravo does well, and what Bravo doesn't do well. So what's Bravo do well?
Right, so he blocks very well.
Yes.
He can play the defense reactions and stuff. He has defense reactions that he likes to play that are Guardian-specific ones. Also, he has tons of armor, which helps with his blocking.
This deck has so much armor. It came out of nowhere when we built it.
So that's great to hide behind.
It totally is.
It has an efficient weapon, too, to where you can kind of grind people out. So all of that kind of plays into that defensive route.
And it has a couple really big attacks that can go over the top at the end of games, or if you find your opponent in a weak spot.
So Crippling Crush, there's really nothing like it in the game for an attack that does 11 and forces your opponent to discard 2 cards from their hand.
Sure.
If you can set that up right, which we'll talk about, it's extremely powerful.
Right. But again, our stress is blocking, right? So don't get too enamored with the Crippling Crush, because you'll fall into the pitfalls of what Bravo does not do well.
Right. So he does not do a lot of damage.
Bravo does not do a ton of damage. He's not consistent. So if you are trying to Crippling Crush every game at the earliest opportunity you can, you will lose those games. You're not consistent enough.
Unless you're playing like all blues besides it. But then you're not playing defense reactions, which is what we want against Dorinthia. Exactly. So you got to set that up. You can't go for it too early.
Yes, Bravo does not handle closing out early games very well. He likes to, this build especially in the Dorinthia matchup, he really likes to grind that out to the best of his ability. He also doesn't defend wide very well. Multiple defenses a turn, he's not super great at.
Yeah, so you like playing those big defense reactions, unmovable, staunch response that can block huge attacks.
Absolutely, which means, guys, don't play him against Ira.
He just doesn't work that well.
I played him against Ira. Don't play him against Ira.
Yeah.
It's not fun. You're not going to have a good time.
Maybe we'll talk about that at the end when we talk about other matchups.
Yes.
But let's stick to Dorinthia. Let's go right into the armor he plays. So obviously we'll start with his legendary Tectonic Plating. It's pretty great because you have the 2 defense and the 1 defense. That's essential. Plus it lets you activate your hammer, which is a Nothos.
It turns on a Nothos very well. It kind of can have you... It lets you have those turns that can be those 6 damage attacks, which against Dorinthia feels much more impactful than the 4.
Right. So if you have that opportunity where you have 2 cards in your hand, amazing. Okay? What about his arms?
Well, we're playing Crater Fist. The 2 defense is great. You're never going to use the ability. In the event you do, it's more of a win more. The 2 defense is really the reason. So if you find yourself not able to get a Crater Fist, don't be tempted by the Goliath Gauntlet with 0 defense.
It's a trap, I think.
It is 100% a trap. Play Iron Rot Gauntlets for the defense.
Yeah, you could play the Goliath as an additional card against certain but like against Dorinthia, you need the defense. Just play the Iron Rod.
Play the Iron Rod. It stings, but just do it. So moving on, what are we playing for legs?
So the legs, we're sticking with the Iron Rod.
Why are we playing Iron Rod legs, John?
It's defense,
It's defense. It has a defense.
You need defense against Dorinthia.
Mage Master Boots, right? That's a choice, something we kind of wrestled with a little bit.
Yeah, so there's always a unique play where you can do that with Tome of Fyendal, but we're trying to beat Dorinthia. You gotta block.
Gotta block. We need the Iron Rot Boots. Takes us to the head. We're like Arcanite Skullcap, right?
Yes, it blocks.
It blocks. If you can't get your hands on a skull cap. It's okay to go Helm of Isen's Peak, right?
That's how I pronounce it.
Okay, Helm of Isen's Peak. That's what I'm calling it. It's okay to go, but you are missing the defense. And if you haven't picked that up now, you want the defense. The defense is gonna be crucial.
Yeah, so I think we transfer into the defense reactions right now.
Yes.
Because that's the way you beat Dorinthia.
You beat Dorinthia with defense reactions, and you beat her with defense reactions because it allows you to play around what she does. Instead of having to defend as much up front, you get to react to her a little more and kind of put her off her game.
Right, so a lot of times Dorinthia kills you because she threatens so much damage and you have to overblock it, and she's like, okay, well, I'll just save this for next turn.
Exactly. You waste too many resources and then you get nothing for it.
Mm-hmm. So you just, I think you had a good analogy about it. About when you're fighting against Dorinthia.
When you're fighting, it is true. When you're fighting against Dorinthia, the way I like to think about it is Dorinthia is your brand new, beautiful baby in the next room. And your baby is crying, and they're kicking, and they're screaming, and they're fighting. And you just got to keep yourself healthy and let that baby run out of energy. Mm-hmm. Let her use all of her tricks, let her kick and scream, and that's when you strike, when the baby is weak.
All right, so I think you need to prioritize when you're playing Dorinthia, getting unmovable or staunch response into your arsenal.
Absolutely, because you don't have the command and conquer to normally worry about. So defense reactions in your arsenal in this matchup are fantastic.
Huge, huge. A lot of times you can just block with that card and not have to block with anything else, and it just stalls her out.
Absolutely.
So besides that, you have other things. You have your Fate Foreseen and Sink Belows.
Absolutely.
Just 0-cost ones that block for 4 helps you out as well.
The opt and also the cycle of the card is great to make sure you're either not flooded on defense reactions or you can move them down to the bottom of your deck for later in the game.
Yes. And then also we play blue Staunch Response and blue Unmovable as well.
Yes. Blues in this deck, as we've discussed, very crucial. You guys are going to see to swing that hammer and to get that 6 damage consistently and play all these defense reactions, we're playing a ton of blues. Our pitch is ridiculous. So those are just great defense reactions in blue.
Mm-hmm. So you need those. And honestly, having Unmovable for 6,
out of the arsenal?
Yeah, out of the arsenal, that's still powerful.
Feels pretty
great. So we have those.
There is another element to the deck, though, other than the defense reactions. That's how you're going to keep that health high, right? But there is a slight setup-y aspect that if you're given a window, if you're a Dorinthia opponent, or if you decide to play this against another opponent, if they draw really bad or they stall out, there is a setup-y element.
Or first turn.
Okay,
so you have these in your deck in case, first turn you draw perfectly, you can set it out there. You have Towering Titan. So we're running that in blue.
We are running blue Towering Titan.
If you get the super lucky hand, sure, go for it. You're probably never going to use it, but it's a pitching card, and it blocks for 3.
Towering Titan applies a lot of pressure first turn if you goes first. Otherwise, it pitches and turns on your hammer, and it blocks for 3. That's about all it does.
That's all you need.
We're running a couple others, though.
Yeah, so you still have Emerging Dominance, which can set you up with bonus damage and the Dominate for free.
The Dominate, it's free on the next turn, so I like to call it putting Dominate on layaway. You pay 2 the turn before you want to attack to free up that mana so you can block during that next turn, maybe 1 or 2 cards, and still get off something big.
Exactly. So you have that, and then you have Showtime as well, which could be another first turn play that can work out great for you.
That is another first turn play, and if you do Showtime for one of your big attacks first turn, don't be afraid to pitch it on your next turn to get it to cycle around the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, you can't. That's just the common trap with Bravo. I see all the time when new players are playing him, they see this 11 damage.
And they just have to cast it.
I have to do it. It's like, you don't understand. Dorinthia will do 20 damage to you if you don't block her. It's more than 11.
Right. So we do have a setup-y aspect, but then we talked about that setup turns into things, and this deck does 3 things on the offensive end.
Right. So it either swings the hammer, which is 90% of the time.
You would know those.
Or you do Crippling Crush, which is the big one.
That is.
So if you have the perfect setup, you can maybe throw it early, but a lot of times, like you're saying, pitch it to the bottom with 3 blues and hit it at the end of the game.
Let it come back around to you.
Because, you got to get through their armor first before you hit that. And
Dorinthia armor is huge!
Right. You got to get through her armor with your hammers before you hit the crippling. And if you don't have crippling, our other option is Righteous Cleansing.
Surprisingly, this is one of my favorite matchups for a Righteous Cleansing because you can hit so many goodies that she relies on. I mean, you can hit a Glint, you can hit a Twinning Blade, right? You can hit a Spoils. If you're able to crush a Righteous Cleansing into the Dorinthia matchup, you can really slow her down and kind of put a wrench in the plans.
The other thing is you know what cards they have in their hand then. Extremely powerful. You're like, I don't have to I can block the exact amount you can do.
That's true. That's undervalued as well. You see their next hand.
And what if they have 3 reds and a blue, and you get rid of that blue?
Exactly.
What are they going to do on their turn?
They have nothing to pay for it. I like that. That's a great idea. So, like we said, on the offensive end, this deck really only does 3 things, and you have to be disciplined enough when you're the pilot of this deck to sit behind it and keep swinging that hammer. Keep letting her run out of gas and wait for that opening. You just gotta be disciplined enough.
Be patient and disciplined.
Be patient. True.
So now we can talk about the blues.
Yes.
The blues. Do you ever want to play them?
You guys are gonna see a lot of interesting cards in this deck list. The main criteria for what we call the filler in this deck is, as we've said, it's blue. It costs 3 or more. And I guess in a very weird scenario, you could play it. Don't play it.
It's got to block for 3 also.
It also has to block for 3. I forgot the most important thing. It's got to block for 3. Right. Some of those examples are Debilitate, Crush Confidence, Chokeslam, Crush the Weak, Cartilage Crush, Cranial Crush, Disable, Buckling Blow. Your favorite card.
Yeah, Last Ditch Effort. So Last Ditch Effort, it doesn't look super great. It's kind of not in every game you're going to play it, but if you get to the end having an 8 damage attack that you can follow up with a 6 damage attack from your weapon, incredibly powerful. It may only happen once every 20 games, maybe less. But
gosh, it feels good.
Right. You're playing Chokeslam. When are you going to ever use Chokeslam?
You're not going to.
Real. Last Ditch Effort.
Pitch and block with these cards, ladies and gentlemen. Pitch and block with these cards. I can't say it.
I've seen people try to set up their Emerging Dominance, and then next turn they draw into something like a Crush the Weak, and they're like, well, I got to play Crush the Weak.
Don't be afraid to let the setup go and block out.
Yeah.
So again, you want to grind this out. You want to make this a long game. You want to let Dorinthia run out of steam. In the end, it's all about learning to play against the most powerful deck, or one of the most powerful decks in the format, learning to discipline yourself, and learning to keep you paying attention. When are you pitching your early attacks so they'll come back to you? Are you watching and counting what she's playing? Are you paying attention to the discard pile to know what resources have been used? If you can teach yourself a couple of these really good lessons, they will transfer outside of piloting this deck against Dorinthia, and it's going to help your game overall.
Exactly. Yeah, this deck kind of teaches you how to block efficiently.
It really does.
It's great. And you know what? It's kind of fun to watch your opponent's face when they're like really frustrated because they can't hit you. Like, they really can't.
They really can't.
They can't hit you unless you decide to let them.
But we've stressed enough that this deck is meant to be played against Dorinthia. And to give you guys an example, we did try to play this deck against Ira. It went poorly. We lost double-digit games, high amounts of double-digit games, until we decided we need to know once and for all. We set the Guardian deck up. We hand chose our first 2 turns in the Guardian deck. We Towering Titaned first turn into second turn Crippling Crush.
So you got 19 damage Dominate. At that time, I didn't have a defense reaction.
No defense reaction.
I had to draw it first turn. So, so I blocked for 3. I took 16, so I went down to 4 with Ira.
And Ira won the match.
Yeah, and he also got a Emerging Dominance Crippling Crush after that as well, and he still couldn't win.
Yes, so we stress enough, this deck is not meant to be played in open, unknown field. This is a very specific deck. It does one thing, and gosh darn it does it well. I'm proud of that. Do you have any closing thoughts on our very weird and one-off Guardian build?
It's 33 dominated damage. I'm just thinking about it.
And it didn't win. Oh, that deck. So again, not a consistent deck, not meant to play against the rest of the field, but if you're struggling against everyone's favorite warrior, build this deck, have some fun, watch them kick and scream and run themselves out of gas, and just keep hitting them with that hammer.
Yeah, the hammer's fun, man. I hope you can do that too, and
yeah, I hope you guys have as much fun with this as we did, because this has been a blast. Well, that's it for this deck tech today. I'm Josh.
And I'm John.
And we will see you in the next one.
Later.